Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going through another 100 vintage Penguin books. Now these are numbered from numbers 100 to 200 on the Penguin main series. We've got all sorts. We've got crime, we've got fiction, we've got travel. Some excellent, beautiful books, some of them in dust wrappers as well. And I can't wait to go through these and get them cleaned up so I can actually compare them with my own collection. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so here we are with starting with number 102, and this particular video that we're filming today is going to be used as a little bit of an example on my main channel about how I go about my process of cleaning books when they come my way with collections. So it's a bit of a how-to, but initially this is how we do it. So with that one, actually, I am going to put the dust wrapper flaps back in that one, just in case someone wants those. But there was nothing to do on that. It's got a little hair in it. This one's a little bit spotty. 10p. Yeah, it's a little bit grubby, that one, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not worth disposing of. Someone I think will probably have that. Kai Lung unrolls his mat. So you've got a dust wrapper flap. Yeah, so this has got a little bit of wear at the front here. It's a little bit concertinaed. Let's get that 25p out. Like so. Yeah, not the greatest of copies. It is a little bit grubby, but I think it's still okay, you know. It's got the little can you write insert. A little bit of a nibble there, but it'll be cheap and cheerful. It's not going to be expensive. These orange ones from this period are not dear. Let's pop the bits back in. Yeah, they're not expensive. So it'll be maybe £2-3, something like that. Here's a much better and brighter copy of it. It's in a dust wrapper for starters. So we'll take the dust wrapper out, and that's not too bad. And as is usual with these things, underneath it's kept the book absolutely beaming. Absolutely beaming. Look at that. That's a beauty, isn't it? A little page edge foxing. Got the Can You Write, so that obviously was issued with this one in the first print. And there we are. So that's really nice. So because I don't want to rub the dust wrapper, I'm going to brush the top of this one now. Because if I was to do this rub whilst the book was in its wrapper, possibly we'd damage the wrapper. And obviously we don't want to do that, but that just gets the edges nice and clean. One last flick through and we're looking good. So I'm going to pop this one back in its dust wrapper. I'm going to keep it to one side because it's not going to need brushing with the other ones because we've just done it, of course. But at the end, I shall put them back into numerical order, ready for when I take these up to my my own personal collection, and we do a bit of comparing, which I'm really looking forward to, because I think there's quite a few here that are in wrappers, and mine are not dust wrappered copies. So I'm hoping for some improvers here. So this is number 110, Disraeli. A little signature there. Very, very nice, but nothing to do on that one. Now, this next one, I remember when I unpacked these, I was sort of over the moon with it. There's 2 copies of The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is one of my favourite Sherlock Holmes, Conan Doyle stories. And there was this one, which in itself, I think is about on a par with the one that I actually already own. It's a nice copy. Nothing to be done on that except obviously brushing the top edges. So I think the one that I've got is about in that condition. But then later on in the same box, as I was unpacking it, I found another one in a dust wrapper, and I was like, wow, how beautiful is this? So I take the dust wrapper off because I'm sure mine has not got one. Now the dust wrapper is not mint, but for me, because it's a book that I really like, that's going to look very, very nice on my shelf. And look at the book underneath. Just look at that. That is, well, quite literally outstanding, isn't it? I don't think it's ever been read. It's an absolute, total and utter beauty. What a beauty. Oh, I love it. So we'll give it the brush on the top there, because as I said, we don't want to be doing that whilst it's in its dust wrapper. And we'll slide this one back on. But that is gorgeous, and I'm certain that my own copy is nowhere near as nice as that. And in a wrapper as well. I mean, absolutely, that's really something, that one. So we'll pop that one to one side. That was a real highlight of this collection. And we go from something like that to something which is really quite shabby. Look at this. So we'll see if it's salvageable. Let's have a look through, make sure it's actually all complete. Obviously it's missing the dust wrapper. A name inside there. The Last War, the Family Comedy. Okay, so we can get rid of that little annotation. That is nothing to do with this book. There we are. It's quite far. I mean, it's a really cheap title, but it is worth saving. So I'd like to re-glue that. So I'll just put my brush in there to get any spine debris out, like so. This can be a bit of a mucky part. There we are. Right, now I've got my my Pin Flare bookbinder's glue, and there we are. I'm going to be quite generous with this. Let's see how we get on then. So let's fold it up. Keep it nice and straight. Now, this particular glue, it dries very clear. It's called a Glue It Bookbinder's Glue. Pin Flare is the brand. I do link to it in my videos in the descriptions, and I do recommend it. So it's a glue that I've been using for over a year now, having tried many. Prior to that, I just used to use Pritt Stick, which is also very good in certain circumstances, and it's sort of versatile. But this one is really good, and if you go over the sort of edges or anything like that, it doesn't really matter, because you can rub it. It just goes completely clear. Now I see someone's put a circle around the penguin here, so that's not very nice of them, is it? So this one very much was quite a borderline sort of a title, whether to keep it or not. But it's so early for starters, and although it's not a rare crime one or something like that, I'm sure someone will want it as long as it's priced right. So something like that in that sort of condition, I'm probably only going to put about £2.50, £2.50 on it, and it'll be a filler for somebody until a nicer one comes along. Right, While Rome Burns 118. This one's a bit foxed here, but all of these are first prints. In the Big Barn Find collection, there were about 70 reprints of earlier books. I put them all to one side, and some of them I've ended up keeping because they're little variations on wartime releases, which I find quite interesting. But that one is what it is. It's a bit grubby. There's no work to be done on it. So once again, it's going to be pretty cheap and cheerful, that one. But hopefully someone might want it. The same story with this, really. Now that actually has got a page out. So that's a pretty serious defect in my book. When it's got a page missing. It's heavily foxed. And I think there's a page missing at the front as well. So although that's a first, that to me, it's too far gone, and it's going to have to be to the charity shop with it. Not that they're going to do much with it, in all honesty, you know. Right, Lord of Arabia, here we are. There has to be a level of quality, ultimately. You can't just have loads and loads of low quality stuff. Right. So this one generally is okay, except it's coming away at the spine. And what a mess it is. Look at that horrible, horrible spine. But we can get a layer of glue in here just to liven it up, really, and hopefully get it so it's not falling to bits on us. Because we wouldn't want that, would we? But it's not a great copy. And it just shows what a mixture was in this collection, wasn't it? We had beautiful, beautiful high-grade books in dust wrappers like that Hound of the Baskervilles. And then we've had a couple of real stinkers. But that is the way of it with collections. You know, you take what you find, really. And when I try and buy collections, I say, well, look, I'll just take it all. I don't want you to be left with the rubbish. I'll sort it out on my end. And I'll be happy, you know, just to dispose of it or move it on to charity shops. I've sort of registered for gift aid with my local Oxfam because they're very good on books. So anything I donate, I just put a little sticker, like, which has got a barcode on my bags of books that I drop off there, and the whole lot can go in as gift aid, and that means that Oxfam themselves can make a bit more money out of it, which is good for them. But in all honesty, I don't tend to see my donations go on the shelf because, you know, a bit low grade, basically, you know, in a lot of cases. And they either send them off to one of their central shops, which does penguins, which is absolutely fine with me, or they just bin them, unfortunately. This has got a tiny little bit out of the wrapper here at the top here. It's holding on by a thread. We may just be able to save it there. But underneath, quite a nice bright copy of the Weekend Book Volume 1. Once again, these are very, very cheap. That back page is concertinaed there. These are very, very cheap books. They're not expensive at all. The only sort of, I mean, apart from the crossword books, there is one called Billiards and Snooker for Amateur Players. And in both collections, there wasn't a copy of that. And I think it's quite scarce, you know. But there we are. It's a good book as well. For a long time growing up, and in my 20s and early 30s, I played quite a bit of snooker. I played at least once a week, and pool as well. And I still love watching it and playing the odd game now and again myself. And obviously back then in the 1930s, when this book was published, the Penguin one, 1935, billiards was more popular than snooker, but that was not to last. Right, there we are. So it is what it is. It's not too bad a copy, and it's hanging in there, the dust wrapper, by a thread. Not the same for this one, which is missing a bit of the top and bottom of the spine. And I suspect that this one might be another one that's probably, it's just not worth keeping. It's a bit too low grade. I mean, it's such a low value book anyway. I just don't think anyone's going to really want that in that condition. It's just too low grade for me to keep hold of it. Sadly, here we are then. Look, 131, the 10-minute alibi. Lovely. Not a particularly scarce crime title by any means, I don't think. But nice to have. Any crime books are good, and there's a nice little run coming up. Some of which I'm hoping will be upgrades for me. But this one is, you know, it'll be reasonably cheap and cheerful for somebody with a bit of luck. There we are, 1938. It's okay. This one's nice, like number 132. It's in a dust wrapper, which is always good news. It's got a little insert as well. Look. What would happen? Oh, it's an advert for the Prudential Insurance. So pretty nice dust wrapper, that one. And underneath, just look at it. It's gorgeous. And a bit of foxing, which is one of the little trademarks of this collection. I've noticed the barn find is that some of these early books, the way they was just bad luck, that they've picked up a little bit of moisture. The barn that they were stored in flooded, but the books were raised. They were on like a mezzanine level, so the boxes of books, none of those got wet, but they were in a damp environment. And I don't know how long it took for the flooding to subside, but it has had, over 20 years, it's had a bit of an effect on these books. It's as simple as that. And that is inevitable. Now, here in the studio, I've got a dehumidifier, and none of these books have got any moisture in them now, but I have got a dehumidifier. And generally when I'm not filming, and usually throughout the winter, I have the dehumidifier on, sucking the moisture out of the room. At the moment, I'm filming this in August and it's very, very hot, so I haven't really needed to have the dehumidifier. I put it on like once a week, but I have had it on a little bit because we've got so many books in here at the moment. Now here's another copy of number 132. This one's not in a wrapper, but it doesn't seem too bad. A few pages turned over there. There we are. So that's okay. That's a nice clean copy minus a wrapper. So it'll be like £4, something like that. Right, let's pull this next little pile over here. 7 Red Sundays. Ramon Cinder, 135. So a little bit of pencil at the back there I've just spotted. See what else is happening here. Now, when I was first going through these, I think it was in either this 100 or it may be in the next 100, but there was a penguin that was signed by the author. I thought, wow, that's really unusual. When I buy big collections, you generally come across, because you buy so many, the odd one which is signed, and there was an odd one in this collection, and it's an early one as well. So hopefully we'll be able to come across it, and I'll be able to show you it. I think it's in this 100. If not, it's in the next 100, which will be, chronologically the next one I film, but it may not be the next one on the channel, because I try and mix it up with Vintage Penguin and then something else that needs cleaning. But there we are. So that's as nice as it's going to get. It's a little bit grubby on the front there. I mean, we could put the rubber on that, but you'd have to end up doing the whole cover. I mean, I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to very gently lighten it and sort of blend it in a little bit so it's not as bad. It's basically, it looks like newspaper fingerprints, something like that. And hopefully this will just lighten it a little bit, though it's not doing that good a job, to be honest. It's just, it was a bit unsightly right there on the front there, wasn't it? But you have to tread carefully with this. You don't want to do more harm than good, So, you be the judge. Did that make it look any better? Well, maybe marginally, to be honest, actually. Quite a lot of this stuff, even now, is still a bit of trial and error. You just have to sometimes go for it. You have to have a bit of a leap of faith, But there we are. That's a reasonably presentable copy of that one. The next one, however, is in a wrapper again. So let's slip this wrapper off. Wrapper's not too bad. It's not that robust, but not too bad. Underneath, it's obviously been protected, but the book itself does have page edge brown in it. It looks like it has been read at least once. But it's got the foxing onto the page edges. But apart from that, it's a pretty nice copy, that, actually. So for me, if my copy, I don't know, just can't remember how nice my current copy is of this one, but you know, this could well be an improver, in which case, great, you know. It's what we like. Just spotted as I was popping that back in, a little bit of the spine going away there down the bottom. So let's just squidge that in there whilst the iron is hot. Just to stop that getting any worse. Just going to hold it in for a minute. I think that's done the trick. Yeah, that's all right, and that can go in the pile with the book, the jacketed copies. Self, Beverly Nichols, 138. No wrapper. Once again, a little bit of page edge brown in here. The corners turned over at the back. Easily straightened out. Yeah, I mean, a little bit grubby, but generally okay. I think he's going to be all right once it's had a good brush. This one looks a nice copy, Flying Dutchman. I can't remember if my existing one is in a wrapper. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But we'll take this one out of its wrapper, and I suspect it'll be rather beautiful underneath, and it is. I very much like these, a flying penguin. This is part of a little run, which are sort of these wartime ones, which are like, you know, there's Within Four Walls and the Escaping Club. I love them all. I love them all. There we are. So once again, a little bit of page edge fox in, but generally a very nice copy of that one. And I suspect I may end up keeping this one myself. I have got a friend of mine over in Japan, Jeff, who's going to be after some of these travel books. So I'm sure any of my doubles, at least some of them, are going to be winging their way to Japan. Right, Fontamara. So we've got a big 1 and 6 on the front, so we're going to get that off. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, nothing else to do on that one. Now this one's okay, but it's in a wrapper, but the wrapper is not great on it. It's like, it feels waxy for starters, which is really weird, but also it's not been sat on the book very well. I mean, I'm assuming this is the wrapper that came with it, and that the last owner didn't swap the wrappers out. I can't imagine he would have somehow, but it's just not that nice a wrapper, you know. It's just a bit worn. So let's have a look at the book itself. So the wrapper's not done too bad a job at keeping the book fairly tidy and presentable. Quite a bit foxed, this one, on the inside cover, so it's worse than some, shall we say. But the wrapper has to stay with this one because, you know, well, it's all there, it's complete, it's not ripped, it's just not in the greatest of shape. That's all it is. So if I had this book, I'd have the wrapper off separately. I wouldn't keep it on. And that's what I've got with some of my books. I've got a separate box with dust wrappers in. So maybe I have a little sort out of those at some point, because I'm certain I've got spare dust wrappers now, if you can believe it, because I've got the books replaced. Anyway, I think that's keeping it reasonably tight. it's just, well, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, it is what it is. Now, this next one is very much I'm on the fence about because it's pretty beaten up. But these two, the Paradigm Case 1 and 2, are actually much harder to find than you might think. This one's missing a bit from the bottom of the spine, and the spine is coming away. And I suspect that, to me, it's too far gone. However scarce that one might be, it's not like it's a scarce wartime one, so it's not worth saving. Right, this next one, however, very much is. Look at this, The Man in the Red Hat, and it's in a dust wrapper. And I'm sure, although I've got a fair few of these ones coming up, I haven't got them all in wrappers, so that's very nice to see. The Man in the Red Hat, that's good. Yeah, lovely. A little bit of foxing, so I'll obviously, and on the inside, so I'll obviously compare the copy with my own one. But the dust wrapper itself seems quite sharp, so, you know, as dust wrappers go. So we may be in luck. But as I said, these ones without, which do come with a dust wrapper, I'm going to give them the brush inside here. And the other ones I shall do outside in the open air, where I'm less likely to choke on book dust. So that's nice, but I'm going to need to have a very close look against the one that's in my collection right now, you know, up in the collection, and see the condition of the book without the wrapper, and then make a bit of a comparison. But maybe I take the wrapper off this first edition and put it on the copy that's already in my collection, if it's not quite as foxed. The Land That God Gave Cain. So with that one, we shall have to wait and see, won't we? Right, another travel one. Once again, I don't remember if I've got this in wrapper or not. Number 148. I should, I suppose, start. Oh, let's go a little. I should start doing that now. Is making a note of which of these early books I've got in wrappers, because that's sort of the next step. Is to move up to getting them all in wrappers that were issued in wrappers. Let's just double check I wasn't imagining. Yeah, published in Penguin Books. So this is an early. Look at that. An early gift token bookmark, and that's one I haven't got before. That's really nice. I love old bookmarks, and that's a really nice one. So that's going to go in my separate bookmark collection. It's what they call an insertion. When you find something that's been put into a book, like a bookmark, a photograph, and a love letter. I've had pressed flowers used as bookmarks. The most common thing is bus tickets or railway tickets, tram tickets, all sorts. But you do get bookmarks now and again. I think the best thing I ever found was a love letter from somebody. That was pretty poignant. There we are. Slip in. Yeah, there we are. It's a little bit faded, the wrapper, but it is a wrapper after all. Right, The Miracle of Piel. This is number 150, so this is like halfway through. So I'll take a short break after this and have a coffee. And there we are, nothing to do on this one actually. That is what it is, just a bit foxing and that, so needs a good brush. But there we are, we're halfway. So next, a real favourite of mine, The Invisible Man, and I do have a copy of this one in first print. Once again, this one's not in a dust wrapper, neither is my existing one, which is a bit of a shame, because I would have loved to have found one of these in a wrapper. But not to worry, it's still the first print, and I'll compare it against the one that I've got. I do also collect reprints of this particular book, because I'm that mad. So it's just one of those books I love so much. I collect different printings of it. This is nice. 153, The Piccadilly Murder, and it's in a dust wrapper, so we'll take that off. Once again, I can't remember the state of mind. So the dust wrapper is a little bit worn, sadly, but it is there. It is there, so, you know, it's better than not being there. Underneath, yeah, the book's okay. It's got a little bit of wear to the spine at the bottom there, but it is a crime book. It is one of the more collectible titles. and not bad, really. That's not bad at all. So we'll see. I shall look forward to comparing this one against my own. Some from this little run. I think it's a run of 10 crime books. I don't think all of mine are that nice. I think mine are quite varied. I'm sliding back into its dust wrapper, which is very, very delicate. But it's supposed to be a great book, this one, the Poison Chocolates case. I know I've got it in a pan edition as well, which is quite a scarce one to find. There we are. I just want to get that. There we are, like that. Put a dust wrapper up. But it is very, very delicate, that. So even if I keep that dust wrapper and all the book for myself, I'll keep the dust wrapper off it because it's so fragile. This one isn't in a wrapper, but it's still a pretty nice, presentable copy. Murder at Crome House. I suspect this was in a wrapper at one point, and maybe it was just so tatty it got taken off. But that's actually a very, very nice, robust copy of that one. So we're not complaining at that at all. And this one seems very, very nice, and is also in a wrapper yet again. So we are being treated today to some of these nice books. And just look at that! Wow, wow, wow! It's a beauty, isn't it? It's very, very nice. Lovely. So let's give it a brush. Well, we've had to brush rather more in here than I thought we were going to have to, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. You know, as I said, I don't want to be playing around with these dust wrappers after we've gone through all the books. It's best to do them as we go along, really. Okay, Obelisk at Sea. It's quite, once again, quite a nice, robust copy of this one. It's slightly longer than usual Penguin. You know, a longish book. It's got a little 60p in the front there. There we are. Yeah, I think that's quite a nice copy of that one. Start a second pile over there. Now we've got another one of it with a dust wrapper. And the dust wrapper looks a little bit the worse for wear. Yeah, it's not all there. Or rather, it is all there, but one of the flaps is detached, which you do sometimes see with dust wrappers. So it is what it is, but that's going to be one of those ones that I'll put it back on for now, but it will probably be best to have, if I end up keeping this copy, because it's better than my own one, I'll keep that dust wrapper off it, basically. But I think finding so many with wrappers has made me definitely want to do a little audit of the dust wrappers that I actually own, so that I know what's what, really. Yeah, it's really nice. So we'll pop it back in the wrapper for now. Just to keep it all together. And we'll pop it with the other wrappered copies up there. Right, Charlton 163. Now that it's got a huge 6 on the front. So I wonder if that's something we can get off. We can definitely do this bit. Right, let's see, shall we? Is it like in a pencil? I think it is actually. So we may be in luck. Oh, it's very, very thick. It's like a, what do they call them? Like a China pen. You know, you use it to mark up China. But it is coming off, albeit slowly. Alright, that's started it at least. Let's try it from another angle now. I think that's about as good as it's going to get on that particular one. So it's still there faintly, but it's not too bad. I think if I rub it anymore, it's going to start rubbing the cover. And we don't want that. But I think that's just about presentable enough, you know? Just about. Right. So the House of Exile, Norma Wong. A travel one. Not a travel one that I really know a lot about, to be honest. So again, it's a decent size. They feel so lavish, these pre-war editions, don't they? Really, really do. But that's very bright. That's a bright copy. This looks like it hasn't been opened in many a year. Yeah, that's all right. Particularly dirty on the bottom here. I'm just going to give this one a cursory rub before we give it a proper. It looks like a spider web on it. But that's just a guess. And then right. Yeah, very dusty actually. Lots of dust coming off this one. There we are. We're not going to get any better than that today. And I'm looking at the next copy of this because we've got another copy and it's awful on reflection. Look at the spine. It's coming off. It's massively darkened. It's got severe page edge browning. And it's just, yeah, it's coming away. So once again, that's one of those ones which sadly I'm just going to have to put to one side. It's not on my friend Jeff's list of travel books that he wants. I'm not going to give it to the charity shop. I am going to put it to one side and say, look, if you want it, it's a freebie. So he might well want that. I had a little chat with him. I did a live stream with him. He's over in Japan. And we were talking about the early travel books, and he assumed that the earlier numbers were the more valuable ones. I said, well, with Penguin, that's not the case. The valuable ones are the ones which came out during the war, not the pre-war ones or the post-war. It's the wartime ones. They're the ones where the value creeps up because they're so much more fragile and there's less of them around. So I was giving him a little education on, there we are, on collecting old penguins. Nothing to do on that one. This is nice. The Crescent Moon, Francis Brett Young. That's lovely. That's really nice. Ethan Frome, Edith Wharton. Little mark there. There we are. We got that off. It's in a dust wrapper, but the dust wrapper is a little bit fragile by the looks of it. It's hanging in there though, but it's very, very delicate indeed. So we need to be careful with that one. But it is all there, which is nice. And underneath, the book is nice and bright, as we would expect. Very, very nice indeed. £1. That's not bad a pound, was it? That was a pretty good price. So, to delicate. Oh, we need to brush it first, and then we shall delicately put it back into its wrapper. There we are. That's okay. Right, Kai Lung unrolls. Kai Lung's Golden Hours, not unrolls his mat. It's a different one. This is his Golden Hours. Just got a shilling on the front, so we'll take that one off. So evidently this has been into a second-hand bookshop at some point. Very nice. Yeah, it's lovely. No dust wrapper. It's got a faded spine, but that doesn't matter too much with that. It's not like it's invisible. Ethel Manning again, Ragged Banners, 177. This one's got some quite severe page edge browning and foxing. So this one's evidently picked up some moisture in the barn over the years. But yeah, when we're talking, what is it, 1938, this one? Yeah, we're talking 1938. It's like 87 years old now. Chaos is Come Again. Now, this is the first one we've seen, which has got a little sticker on, a little 7p up there. So we'll leave that to the end. Let's just have a little look through the book itself. And he's all right. It's not great, but it's all right. We've seen worse, haven't we? Now, what do we do with that little 7pence? Is it going to come off if we tease it slowly with my fingernail? Pays to have a bit of a thumbnail handy when you're a book cleaner, because sometimes you do need to tease off, albeit slowly, a little sticker like this one, which has probably been on its 7p, so it's, you know, past 1970. But that means the book's probably been in some sort of second-hand shop, or maybe on a stall at a garden fete. Who knows? If only they could talk, eh? If only they could talk. There we are. So we've slowly teased that one off. And it's rare that we get stickers on books like that, particularly old ones like this. But there we are. That's survived. That's left a little mark there, but nothing too bad. And apart from that, well, it just needs a bit of a brush. There's not a lot else we can do with this one. But here's what it is. It's, you know, it's going to be okay for somebody. Tales from Chekhov. Here we are. Slightly darkened spine on this one, and no dust wrapper per se. An end flap. Yep, just the author's biography. And we'll keep that with it, of course, but once again, nothing else to do on this one except give it a nice brush. This is a bit of a more famous one, Night Flight. It's not great. You can see a little bit of wear on this at the top there, but I think it's just about presentable enough to save. It's going to need a jolly good brush though, but yeah, it is a little bit grubby. There's no two ways around it. It's not the greatest of copies, but it is a copy, and it's all there. You know, it's just not in the greatest of shape, that's all. There we are. Folded that little bit back in there on the top. So it is what it is. It may be okay for somebody. As I said, it's only going to be cheap and cheerful. Now this next one, it's got a very, very damaged wrapper here, indeed. So we'll take it off because it's just really, really worn. And to be honest, when a wrapper is in that sort of state, I'm loath to keep it at all. However, let's see what the book's like underneath. Well, it's got some wear down the bottom. That's probably why the wrapper's so beaten up. I don't think it's a particularly scarce one, this, and I think this is probably better off without that tatty wrapper. I really do think that. So let's give it a brush. Very, very dusty, as you can see. Blimey. Yes, not very pleasant, I'm afraid to say. I think the wrapper's too far gone. It just is. It's just not worth saving at all. And the book itself is borderline, in all honesty. So I'll pop it in the pile for now. But I don't think it's going to be one that's... It's just going to be just a few pounds, like a couple of quid. Right, Penang Appointment, Norman Collins. This one's pretty foxed. Very, very dirty page edges. And look at that. Look, it's just awful. Once again, it's just too far gone. I just don't want to be handling those sorts of books, I'm afraid. Not under any circumstances. Right, The Egypt's Gold. Lovely. David Scott. It's in a wrapper. Just about. It's not a perfect wrapper. You can see it's in pieces already. And it's missing the back flap of the wrapper by the look of it. So, pieces of wrapper there, but not much. However, underneath, the book is pretty bright. Bit of bleed through of the pink there on the back cover. You don't see that very often, but it may be the book had got wet at some point. Got a tiny little bit of damp on it. But we've moved on to 1939 now. And that book there, I feel... it is borderline. I am going to put it back in its dust wrapper. I was umming and ahhing about whether to keep the dust wrapper with it, but I am. Even though it's in a right old state. It is... I mean, it won't actually even go on properly. It would just wrap around the book. No, I think it's too far gone. It doesn't matter. It's not an expensive book, so it's not a crime title or something. So here's another copy. This one's no wrapper at all, but it's got a faded spine. But that'll be absolutely fine for somebody, so that's okay. Obviously not as nice as the other one. But soft, we are observed. Hilaire Belloc, number 1 8, 9. A little bit of wear on this one, but generally okay. I don't think... Can we put a little bit... Yeah, we can actually put a little bit of glue down there to get that looking a little bit better. Now, it's one of those ones that's multi-layered, so we'll see how we get on. But let's put the initial bit in. Glue's hardened up. So we need to do the first bit. We're going to have to like double glue this one, I think. Yeah, tiny bit over there. There we are, and I think we've actually rebuilt that quite nicely, so we can still see the penguin number, and that is quite a nice little job. That's you know, that'll be okay for somebody. Right, next we got number 190, Death of My Aunt, and it's also in a nice dust wrapper, reasonably nice on the face of it. So let's slide that one out. Yay, it's not too bad, is it? We've seen a lot worse. What's the book like? Well, that's actually not as nice as I was hoping. But it is what it is. Oh, look, it's actually got a tear in the front. Look at that. It's ironic because I think I do have a very, very nice copy of Death of My Aunt as a spare. So I might put the wrapper on that one and keep this one as a lower grade copy for somebody to buy. You know, maybe put like £6 or £7 on it. Because I think a really nice one of these without a wrapper is only about £20 to £30. So that one with that nice wrapper might be worth doing a little swap around with the one I've currently got. It's not mega rare, this one. It has turned up, but at the same time, it's a nice one to have. So, yeah, swings and roundabouts. But I think that might be better by that wrapper going with another book than the one that's with it. Right, Ordinary Families. This is quite foxed, isn't it? Number 191. Yeah, foxed and that, but I think it'll be okay with a good brush, which we shall do at the end, of course. Barnum Rectory. This has got a faded spine. Any other issues with this one? No. It's a little loose. I think that the spine's about to come away. So once again, I think it's going to be a cheap and cheerful one. Sledge. 193, Martin Lindsay. Oh dear, look at that. The glue's come away here. Let's get this name out the front here, previous owner's name. Okay. Give us a surface. Oh, in fact, it's come off completely, so that's actually better. Let's get rid of that first of all. There we are. Okay. And the actual cover is not too bad. It's faded on the spine, but it's definitely worth saving, you know. So quite generous again with the glue. Make sure we're pinning the cover back on the correct way. I've done that wrong before. It's going to give this book another lease of life. And I'm just having a little look at the books we've got coming up, and a couple of them do look very, very low grade. They don't look particularly lovely, I'm afraid to say. So there may be a few more going in the charity shop pile. But if that's the case, then that's the case, isn't it? Okay. I'll put this last pile over there. Now we've got another copy of Sledge. This one looks a little bit brighter. Let's see if this one needs re-gluing. No, this one seems okay. Even got a little bit of the dust wrapper left on it. Very, very foxed, unfortunately. But it's okay. We'll give it a brush. Now, amazingly, we've got 3 copies of 4 plays, and I really don't know how nice these are going to be. But let's just take each book individually. Yeah, so I think this can be saved, but it does need to be re-glued on the spine here. It is A.A. Milne. That's the Winnie the Pooh author. If you're thinking that name's a little bit familiar, that would be why. There we go. So that's just about acceptable. This one is covered in paint. It's less worn than the last one we've looked at, but it's covered in paint. We can't do anything with that. So I'm sorry, but goodbye. And this one actually is quite bright. This is the brighter of the 3. So this one we should be okay to keep. Name inside. But apart from that, he's all right. That's okay. So that'll just need a brush. So we saved 2 out of the 3. Then we've got the story of an African farm. It just says African farm on the spine, of course. So again, a tiny little bit of glue. It's just how the books were made in this period in Penguin's history, that sometimes after 80 odd years, the glue has just dried up completely, you know. It does mean that really, really nice examples become hard to find, you know. But that's okay. Moving the camera. Then, amazingly, we got another copy of the story of an African farm. It's a little bit cleaner than the last one, a little bit brighter. Still a little bit of page edge browning, but apart from that, that's not too bad. I'll have a decent brush. Then this last one here, I think is borderline. Look at it. It's really, really worn on the spine for number 200. In fact, it's actually fallen to bits. And look how aged and tanned it is. It's just not a copy which any real collector is going to want on their shelf for a book which is very, very common. So we're not going to bother with doing anything on this. We're just going to put it in the Oxfam pile. But that's that. So the next stage then, I'm going to take the books that we haven't brushed and I'm going to brush them outside to save my lungs. Time to give these undust wrapper books a good brush. But we're doing it outside where it's nice and fresh and the dust doesn't get into my lungs. But this is all part of the process, and I have to do this with every single book that comes my way. None of these have been particularly bad at the moment, but it is what it is. I, for one, just couldn't have them in my collection if they hadn't been through this cleaning process. Simple as that. Now these ones look particularly dark on the top here. Feel the dust, or I can smell it even. Just doing a few books at a time. Some books naturally need more than others. But I hope you've enjoyed this particular cleaning session. Once again, some nice books. I've enjoyed explaining it to my main channel viewers who don't often see these videos, the process that I go through when I get second-hand books in my collection. They do very much go through the process. Obviously, if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it a thumbs up. Lets YouTube know you've enjoyed this one, and potentially it'll offer you my next video, whatever that may be. I will look forward to seeing you again next week with another cleaning video of some sort. Bye.